So how is a power of attorney useful in the sale of a piece of real estate that you might own? Could be your house, could be a house that you own, investment property, or a raw piece of land. Well, first of all, folks, in the past we learned that a power of attorney is a written authorization to act on behalf of another. It's an agency, in other words. And the person that you would appoint under this agency is called an attorney in fact. And they would be considered a fiduciary, somebody of high trust. Now, when it comes to powers of attorney, they typically fall into two categories, one of two categories. It's either a durable power of attorney, which is durable in scope and durable in its power, and a limited power of attorney. Now, when it comes to a sale of a piece of property that you might own, we're usually dealing with a limited power of attorney. And so what you would do with the limited power is you would designate somebody to act with a limited scope of time and a limited power. Usually it's the sale of a particular piece of property, and when that sale is complete, the power of attorney goes away. Who would you appoint as your attorney in fact or agent? Well, it could be a loved one, it could be a friend, family. Sometimes, or what I see in my practice is I'm appointed as the attorney in fact in a particular situation. And what I would do at that point is I would have my client sign their deed in advance. And then what would happen is at the time of the closing, I'd go over the numbers for the closing with my client. We'd have the deed already signed, and we'd ship all of that off with what I call the smaller documents for the closing to the closing attorney so that the transaction would be complete. Now, why would you need a power of attorney in any given instance when you're selling real estate? Well, if you're selling and then buying a new piece of property, you might be doing the transactions, both transactions on the same day. And what a limited power of attorney would allow you to do is appoint your attorney. Doesn't necessarily have to be your attorney, right? We just talked about that. But appoint your attorney to sign off on some of the smaller documents while the deed has already been signed. And that sale would happen, and you could focus on your purchase that day without worrying about two transactions at once. Now, where else would this come into play? Well, you could be selling your property and moving out of state. And maybe you made your move in advance and you're out of state already. Once again, your attorney in fact could complete the sale on the day of the closing. Where else could it happen? Well, you could be selling your property. It could be an investment property. You may already be out of state and not have the ability to be here for the closing, and so you have an agent that would complete the transaction on that day. Or it just might not be convenient for you. Maybe you have a bunch of properties and you're just selling this one and you have other commitments on that day. All of these things come into play, though, and so when that happens, a limited power of attorney works. It works efficiently, and really the limited power, in most instances, doesn't have to be recorded, but we do notarize these documents anyway. Dave Ceruolo, CeruoloLaw.com.